So the second place he disembarked was in San Francisco, and that was where I had the opportunity of coming into contact with him. And in fact, we had heard about him and had invited him to come. So historically, he stepped on a plane this time. He didn't take a train, a Greyhound bus, or a boat, but he stepped on a plane for the first time and flew from New York City to San Francisco, arriving in early January of 1967. And he hadn't been seen by most of the devotees and the soon-to-be devotees and well-wishers who greeted him at the airport, but it was nonetheless very a great deal of anticipation, because we had kind of hyped his coming previous to his arrival, sending out little flyers all over San Francisco saying Swami is coming, because at that point the appellation Srila Prabhupada had been invoked. So there was a small crowd, and there were reporters there, and the beatnik poet Allen Ginsberg was there, and I was there to see him for the first time along with Shamsundar, and our little dog was also there. You can see that dog when you look at the old videos. There's one little dog there. And we were watching and waiting, not knowing what to expect, because most of us had never seen or heard of a Swami before. We'd heard of a Swami, but we hadn't seen a Swami, and we didn't know what this really meant. Most of us thought he would be something like Harry Mohan, some kind of a magician who could, manifest at will and disappear at will and walk through a wall and whatever. In fact, when we were collecting the money to get his air ticket to San Francisco, I started thinking, well, we don't even need this airplane. But when we were waiting and waiting, and all the passengers came off, and then finally there was like a kind of glaring light that was appearing, and I thought it was due to the flash bulbs, because especially in those days the cameras were large and the flash bulbs were very large. It was kind of a blinding effect, and simultaneously I found myself down on the floor, and we hadn't been taught about obeisances, so it wasn't that I was consciously making obeisances, but I also saw that when I kind of looked, other people were also down, and we were kind of perplexed how we got there, why we were there on the floor, and then this was happening kind of quickly. Then this light was getting closer, and we looked up, and the first kind of impression was a little surprising, because the Swami we thought was going to be kind of empoweringly large, and he was kind of disempoweringly small. And I realized that this effulgence, this glowing, this light that was happening was actually him. It was coming from him. And later on, it became kind of a common thing. You can read in many of the memories, Satyananda Maharaj, he mentions it similarly in his book, this effect of finding yourself on the floor and being confronted with this effulgence. So my understanding is, after reflecting on this, is that because we were so much in the mode of ignorance and a little passion, but mostly in the mode of ignorance, and this was the first contact we had with a pure devotee of the Lord, and that contact with such a pure soul to our covered souls was shattered. The covering was momentarily shattered, and that light that was emanating from him pierced that darkness that was covering us and literally knocked us off our feet. But later on that day, that same day, we went to the temple, and he greeted just like we were packed in this little space in the boat here. I guess that means I should hurry up. The temple was not much larger than this little space here, and it was just packed body to body. I mean, there was no space at all. And all types of people, hippies, businessmen, housewives, just people who came out of curiosity. And in a very wonderful way, he made us all feel loved and wanted. and invited us to chant with him the Hare Krishna mantra, which everybody did. And in such a wonderful way, we felt, coming from Srila Prabhupada, an amazing type of love that not even our own parents had ever provided. And I think that it would be safe to say that we were returning that. We were falling in love with him. Srila Prabhupada.
I was 11 years old when Prabhupada first stepped foot in Boston, and I had no idea what was ahead of me. but then I joined ISKCON 1972. I saw Srila Prabhupada. He was, actually the first time I saw Srila Prabhupada was in New Vrindavan on my initiation day. And the first time I saw him, he was handing me my japa beads. And then the next time I saw him was when he came to Los Angeles. And in the Los Angeles airport, I was actually able to push my way through the crowd of devotees and get right up to Srila Prabhupada. And I was able to ask him a question. I came up with something real quick to ask him. I could have done better, but as far as my question, but that really gave me lifetime encouragement to stay Krishna conscious.
Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I had very little association with Srila Prabhupada, but I do remember the first time I saw Srila Prabhupada, it was just like being loved up by feet, and the shine that was coming from him. It's a very similar story. We didn't understand obeisances, and I was standing up and everyone was paying obeisances, and there was Srila Prabhupada. I was, wow, I guess I should lay down. But it was not different from his picture. It was like transcendental. He was floating with the illumination. So awesome. Something you never dreamed you would ever realize or see in your whole life. And Srila Prabhupada would come to the temples and he would pass out cookie prasad, especially to the children. I think the children first. And Dharma Krishna knew Srila Prabhupada pretty much at first by cookies. So Srila Prabhupada became cookie pot to Dharma Krishna. Mataji, cookie pot, there's cookie pot. So one time when I was passing him over the sea of devotees, my whole body was just trembling, and I couldn't get close enough to Srila Prabhupada, so I had to pass him from hand to hand to hand to get to Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada put a cookie in his hand. A very nice remembrance. Hare Krishna.